Constitution thing, the oath that they take when they enter the service, and say, "Look, just because I'm out of the service."
Well, obviously, they haven't read the Constitution if they're calling for the liberal genocide to begin.
So, like what? Heaven's Gate motherfuckers or what?
Pretty close, yeah.
No. That's the Seven Mountains Dominionists. That's a whole other ball of wax.
Yeah, that's a whole different show, and it could be the whole show, actually, if we went in depth into that. But no, the Oath Keepers in Arizona are a militia group, and they're the ones. It was one of them that was actually saying that they couldn't wait for the liberal genocide to begin, and that's the way that to make America great again. And I'm sorry, but any American with some average common sense would understand that if we want to make America great again, it has to start from the people that live here. You got 325 million people in the country, and they need to actually step up and make America great again, because Trump's not going to do it. The government's not going to do it. And I think that's the big miscommunication, thanks to the media, is that unless you have people telling that story and getting people to understand the idea that this country can be great if the people make it great, as opposed to if Donald Trump makes it great. That's the way America can gain back much of what it's lost. And until we get people to understand
I think
that,
there's a yeah. I think there's the place the ideological divide is that what people think constitutes great is very different. Like, there's a lot of people out there who think that great means, okay, everybody's got a job that's paying a living wage, which would be great. But are those jobs meaningful? Do they like what they're doing? Are they happy with their lives? These are things that other people tend to think about, you know? Like, okay, fine, you're making $20 an hour, but you hate your job and you drink all the time just to deal with it, right? Like, that's not great necessarily.
And it's not really the pursuit of happiness, you know?
Right, exactly.
Well, we're the United Corporations of America. I mean, making America great again is keeping the fucking corporations richer, and they are not the job creators, so enough of that bullshit.
Well, I mean, that is a lot of bullshit.
I mean, I think that's exactly what it comes down to, is we want to keep the corporations happy, but why? They're not creating the jobs.
Well, they don't care. That's all there is to it.
Exactly. Somebody's getting their pockets lined.
Okay, so I don't know if anybody's listening right now, but we're going to go ahead and open up the phone lines. So if you would like to call in and comment, question, ask questions, all we ask is that you be respectful, or else we'll hang up on you and make fun of you afterwards.
We'll swear at you and then hang up on you and then make fun of you.
Well, she'll swear at you. I'll hang up on you. Then we'll make fun of you. Our call-in number is 480-405-1465. Call in. Let us know what you're thinking about today about the state of our union. And we don't have a problem listening to any side of the equation. The whole purpose of our show is to get people to start talking in a respectful manner regardless of our differences. If you have an opinion of the day, call in, be respectful, and we will be respectful to you, because that's how change happens. So, 480-405-1465. Call in, and we'll let you have a little bit of time on the air. God, there's been so much going on with the Healthcare Act. Well, it's not really healthcare. It's more of, hopefully you die so we can take you off the rolls. Now, one of the cool things that happened was during one of the floor sessions that we're having at the House of Representatives in Washington. Representative Paul Ryan talked about how repealing and replacing Obamacare was an act of mercy. Now, I don't know how that's an act of mercy, to give insurance companies more money and the rich better breaks on their health care while screwing the rest of us. But in that exchange, let me see if I can find the article, because it was really a really good video. One of these days I've got to figure out how to get the like a YouTube video to audio feed through the Spreaker software. I haven't figured that one out yet.
Oh, that would be really cool.
But anyway, it was where is it? I thought that I saved it to my whatchamacallit, my Facebook. Anyway, it was a representative from Massachusetts. I think it was Joe Kennedy III, or John Kennedy III, or something like that. Anyway, it was Representative Kennedy from Massachusetts, and he took Paul Ryan to task on the floor, and it was just beautiful by his responses. And I think that's the problem, was we've become such a political landscape in our country that we can't even actually treat each other with respect because of politics. Calling for the genocide of liberals. Do you hear liberals actually calling for the genocide of conservatives? Never. Because apparently liberals understand the idea of
not at all
freedom of speech and we all have to be a part of this to make it work, that kind of thing. Apparently that doesn't go over well on the conservative side, because they want everything the way that they want it, and they don't want to give up anything to get it, which kind of blows when you think about it.
Well, nobody's giving up shit. That's the thing that I have the hardest time wrapping my brain around. I live my life, you live your life. I don't interfere with yours, you don't interfere with mine. Isn't that the whole fucking smaller government thing they're always screaming about? But then, no, they want to be in my vagina, they want to be in my doctor's office.
Say that.
Fuck.
They say they want smaller government, but then you look at what happens. Because we've seen this in Virginia, and we've seen it in Tucson, and we've seen it in a couple places where a city will try and pass an ordinance that doesn't necessarily contradict state law. It just adds to it, like your bathroom bills in Tucson had the cops will boil down confiscated guns and destroy them instead of selling them kind of stuff.
Tempe had the ban on plastic bags and the ban on puppy mills, and I think Bisbee had the ban on plastic bags. And what's the state legislature overturned them.
The first thing they do is the state legislature goes in and says, no, supremacy clause, ha-ha. And you're like, but that's not what you say you think. Stop doing that, because it's not ideologically consistent, and I hate anything that's not ideologically consistent. I can sit down and talk to a libertarian.
These are the same people that are screaming about how the federal government is overstepping its bounds when they pass legislation that restricts a city. It's like, aren't you doing the exact same thing? Hypocrite much?
Exactly. It drives me up a wall when they do things like that. Yeah. There's no reason for that from their ideological position. And I can't take it. It just makes me want to scream at them.
Well, I think they think they're trying to save us. It's like, you know what? I don't need saving. I don't need your interpretation of what I'm doing. I don't need your fucking help. I just want to live my life. But, oh no, you want me to live my life the way that you want to live it in the way that you think I should. Fuck that.
Yeah, it's one of those things that, for example, with gay marriage, okay, honestly, when you look at gay marriage, if John and Bob, for example, want to get married, how does that impact the individual? Okay, our next door neighbors, if they're two men and they get married, has no impact on our marriage. It has no impact at all wrong with our marriage. Of our life. So why should we actually care whether or not Bob and John get married? And then you have these conservative stuff like that just go ballistic about how it's ruining the traditional marriage. Oh, you mean, you've had three marriages and 3 divorces so far, and that's traditional, or
it's because they're all in the closet. That's why.
Well, maybe, but still, it has to come to the point where one day somebody's going to realize and be able to get the right messaging out to people that says, if John and Bob get married, it has no impact on your life. It has no demonstrable impact on your life other than you don't agree with it. So when it comes down to it,
right,
your personal opinion, you're trying to make your personal opinion the benchmark for how other people live their lives, and that's wrong. But that's what we see.
The other thing they're doing there, the other thing they're doing there is stuff like the Hobby Lobby bill and other actions they're trying to get pushed through. They'll basically say, any business can deny service for basically making the business the same religion as the owner.
Right.
And that just causes way too many problems in any society. There's no way that anyone can just deny service to somebody, right?
Well, actually, in Muslim countries, don't they call that Sharia law? I mean,
I think so, but they also want to apply it to the individuals that work at the businesses, which is really weird. So, like, okay, fine. The big example is that they harp on Planned Parenthood a lot because of abortion. And Trump tried to do that thing where he's like, well, I'll tell you what, we won't defund Planned Parenthood if you stop doing abortions. And that kind of thing is just insidiously dangerous. And
Isn't that like
anybody
3%
who's
of what they
listening
do?
who thinks that's a good idea, yeah, it's like 3% of what they do. But anybody who's listening who thinks that, Medicaid money shouldn't go to any hospital setting, organization, any medical care facility that performs abortions because of fungibility, but picture in your brain what it would be like if you lived in a society that was predominantly Jehovah's Witnesses and you needed a transplant because they don't do blood transfusions. So
right.
how
or
would you feel about that?
Yeah, transfusions, organ transplants, none of that stuff. You would die because of their religious beliefs.
Oh, I guess that's just God's will.
Well, yeah, it's part of God's plans. Yeah. Okay.
Here,
well,
let me
if it's
pray on that.
if it's part of God's plan, then praying should pretty much doesn't do anything because you're not going to change God's plan by praying. So why bother, right? I mean, that's the
Never
logical way to
understood
think
He
that.
about
gave
it.
us free will, so why does he give a fuck what we pray about?
Well,
I mean, seriously. It's like a contradiction. It's kind of like, oh, I'm
No, it's not
anti-abortion,
a-
but I'm also anti...
It's not a
Birth control.
contradiction. It's a way to appease themselves or remove themselves from responsibility.
Isn't it circular reasoning at the very least?
Well, yeah, I mean it's reasoning of some sort, I guess.
That's bullshit.
Well, no,
Well,
probably not
I
a
mean,
lot.
no matter what happens, there's always going to be a logical flaw when there's cognitive dissonance involved.
Right.
Somewhere along the line, your brain's going to lie to you, and you just go along with it because you need both things to be true, and it just doesn't figure. So, kind of just like a blind spot.
Yeah, we just hit that 20-minute lull in the conversation.
No, I mean, that is very intuitive. I mean, seriously. I mean, Scott, stop it.
Sorry, I'm making finger gestures and stuff at her.
He's making fun of me as usual. I don't know if it's so much that people don't know how to think or if they don't want to and they just want somebody to do it for them.
No, by using prayer and religion and stuff like that, you take the responsibility that you should have and you give it to somebody else, so that you don't have responsibility for your actions because somebody else has a higher power, has the ability to decide what you can and can't do. Okay. It removes the guilt and the responsibility from you by putting it over, oh, I'm sorry your son died, but I'm sure it was part of God's plan. Okay. That removes you from having to be compassionate.
Empathetic?
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
So it's the way people have been, put into and trained over the millennia is, this is a way how you can actually get rid of your guilt and get rid of your compassion. Anything that makes you feel bad, it kind of defeats that. And that's the wrong way to do it. I mean, realistically, I think if we actually started taking time and having more compassion as human beings towards each other, even if we disagree, this world would be a hell of a different place. So, okay, we have a caller.
I think it really would be. But the problem...
Oh, we have a caller?
We have a caller. Hold on, let me see.
Oh, sorry about that. Hold on. We don't get this often.
Hello, you're on the air.
Hi. I just wanted to make a comment here. I'm listening to the show, and the one guy was talking about, with the religious people and a branch, and it's the problem I have with his thinking is a little bit more about the conservative side that he's talking about, and it's kind of interesting that he's saying that, you know, when you're